I did want to play for you something that was really interesting. Johnathan Issac is, remember he had that devastating injury. Was that 2 years ago? With the a really bad injury. Super talented. I mean, when he came out, 6'9", can do everything for the Orlando Magic. He just hasn't either been healthy enough or grown into his body. But this was, look, we've kind of waited for somebody to sensibly give me the case for why not having a vaccine, right? Like, Vandrew Wiggins wants to say he stands for something. Well, tell us what you stand for. You can't say I stand for something. Well, what is it? That's personal. Well, then you're not actually standing for something that we can all, you're just anti-vax. So here's the way Johnathan Issac put it. Take a listen.
I'm not anti-vax. I'm not anti-medicine. I'm not anti-science. I didn't come to my current vaccination status by studying Black history or watching Donald Trump press conferences. I have nothing but the utmost respect for every healthcare worker and person in Orlando and all across the world that have worked tirelessly to keep us safe. My mom has worked in healthcare for a really long time. I thank God, I'm grateful that I live in a society where vaccines are possible and we can protect ourselves and have the means to protect ourselves in the first place. I'm not ashamed to say that I'm uncomfortable with taking the vaccine at this time. I think that we're all different. We all come from different places. We've all had different experiences and hold dear to different beliefs. What it is that you do with your body when it comes to putting medicine in there should be your choice, free of the ridicule and the opinion of others.
I thought there's a lot of really smart, really thoughtful commentary coming from Johnathan Issac. Really, 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 really smart, really thoughtful. The problem with it is this is the hole in his logic. The hole in Johnathan Issac's logic is it's solely about him and how the disease would potentially affect him. That's it. That was what he had to say. By the way, here's LeBron James yesterday stating why he did get the vaccine.
We're talking about individuals' bodies. You know, we're not talking about something that's political or racism or police brutality and things of that nature. We're talking about like people's bodies and well-beings. You know, so I don't feel like, for me personally, that I should get involved in what other people should do for their bodies and their livelihoods.
I think there's a bunch of different levels to it. Isaac's point, Johnathan Issac of the Orlando Magic, his point was like, look, I've already had it, and we're still learning about what antibodies do to this disease as opposed to others. But I can't get it right now because of the recency with which I had it. And two, based upon my health and my age, it's not really necessary that I, in his opinion, get the vaccine. The pushback to it is, and he did admit, like, look, you're way, way, way less likely to get sick if you had the vaccine. He understands that, but he's already had it and he didn't get sick. He's looking at this in line with what we were all taught as kids in very basic science. Right? We were taught the very, very basics of it. They didn't teach us mRNA. They didn't teach us about diseases which had not yet appeared before us where they were going to morph so quickly. We hadn't had it. We didn't study a global pandemic. Did you study global pandemic? I didn't, and neither apparently did Johnathan Issac. He's talking about the flu, whereas the idea is once you have the flu, you build up antibodies, you're not going to have that flu again. The truth is you may have that flu again, but it may not affect you nearly the same way. This is different. And it's not about you. It's not about any of these players. They're very, very, very unlikely to get sick if they even contract COVID. And if they contracted COVID and they did get sick, they have the absolute best medical care. And we've learned a lot about how to treat this over time. It's about everybody else. And that's the part that he's missing. But I respect and admire not just his points, but his way of presenting it, which is like, look, I do think that if you're not taking the vaccine, you inherently become anti-vaccine. But so he's not anti-science, but he does become anti-science when they're trying to tell him the science behind it, and he's only looking in linear fashion. But that's the way in which you have a discussion. You go, hey, man, you listen to Believe What I Believe, that this is it. Now, if you allow for the proper amount of feedback, you can simply say, look, All of what you stated for the most part is fairly accurate. Here's the differences. It's not about you. It's about everybody else. It's not about this particular form of it. It's about what it could become if we don't have a high enough vaccination rate, which makes it far worse because we're always going to be one step behind it. You know, we'll be chasing the Delta. It'll be on to the Lambda. We'll be on to the Lambda. They'll be on to the what is it, the Zeta, whatever it is. Yeah. I started the day saying let's not talk about vaccines, but it's pretty obvious what has happened. Cities are working with the league, and the league couldn't get it pushed through with the NBA PA that they mandate vaccines. So the league has nothing to do with the cities, right? We got nothing to do with it. Hey, if you want to play in San Francisco, you want to play in Brooklyn, you got to have the vaccine or have been cleared in last 72 hours before you play. That's pretty obvious that the league, whether they're working in concert or the cities just know inherently how to pick up after them. And, oh, yeah, by the way, the league today says, like, look, if you voluntarily, it's very important in the press release, if you elect to not being vaccinated, you're electing to not play in those cities, you will forfeit your salary. Now, maybe Kyrie Irving doesn't care about money. I guarantee all these other guys do. And, oh, yeah, by the way, if you're Andrew Wiggins, you can't play a home game as of now. The strong likelihood is this is a way of forcing people without forcing people. So I'm not a virologist. I don't know enough about it. All I know is the most important ones say this is what you do.